All right, we're recording. Hi, everyone. Don't forget to, if you enjoy this video, just click the like button or leave a review and please subscribe. That'd be awesome. All right, quick word from the sponsors. You got FIFO by Aaron Weston, a hilarious novel written about all the dodgy stuff that happens in the FIFO industry. Available at Aaron Weston author, Instagram account and Facebook page. And for the kids, on Children's Books by Aaron White on Facebook. Just click the shop now button. You got Australian mining machines, Australian police vehicles, Australian firefighters, Australian Defence Force machines, Australian surf lifesavers, Australian paramedics. They're fantastic. Grab your kids some, and yeah, that's awesome. All right, we'll do the little intro. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aaron White Show. Today we have a fantastic guest, Dale Browning. Dale is a holistic health fitness mentor. Welcome to the show, Dale.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Cool. Hey, can you please tell me a story, like how where you grew up, any life-changing events, and how you ended up doing what you're doing today?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I suppose I've grown up in Melbourne. I was born in Melbourne, and I've grown up all my life in Melbourne. Went to good schools. Lived a normal kind of growing up life, I suppose. Part of that has always been sports. I think I probably started doing Auskick, AFL footy at 5 or whatever it was, that kind of thing. Played footy all through schooling, played basketball, cricket, just the general type of sports that you do at school. Cross country, did all those kind of sports. And sports has always been an anchor and a good healthy release, I suppose, for me. Early on, I probably was never the greatest footballer or anything like that, but I was always very good at everything, but not super exceptional, I suppose. And it probably, in terms of, I suppose, awareness of sport, it probably wasn't until probably mid-teens that I kind of actually took a bit more of a mental insight into sports. I started realising that you kind of had a bit more control over than just your natural talent. So it was probably around year 10 I noticed myself, I was probably like a little bit heavier than I would have liked to be. I think that was just literally from a few years of high school, going to the tuck shop a lot, drinking Coke and all kind of rubbish that you kind of don't know any better. Everyone does it, but I probably got a little bit chubby. And it was probably, about year 10, so I was probably 15 or 16. Then I had the awareness, I suppose, then to, all right, I'm going to start really getting into running again. Got into running, doing cross country at school, had some good success with that. As a team, we won 3 in a row championships, which was good. And then throughout that time, I suppose at the same time, my football skills and improved a lot just from being fit. So I suppose that reinforced what I was doing to keep doing that. So putting in the extra work, doing the running. And then even back then, I suppose I'd started to make the shift to just eating a little bit better with a little bbit more intention, even though I was probably, looking back now, I was probably pretty naive and really didn't know what I was doing. And you listen to probably some of the wrong sources and that kind of thing. But then that kind of, once school finished, I just kept playing football for De La Salle and the amateurs here. Had some really good friendships and really good friendship groups out of football. So that was a really, I suppose, important thing. I think it is for a lot of guys in general and just kids to have that kind of camaraderie and that team sport. So that was really important growing up through those times. Had some good success through like under 19s at DLA. That was really, really good time to go through that. Had a couple of coaches there who really, I suppose they saw a bit more potential in me than I saw. initially. And so that was the first time I really related with some coaches who were actually able to lift you up a bit and get you better than you were, which was really, I suppose, an eye-opening experience, because I suppose up until then you kind of just had always played however you played. Like you just played on raw talent. So it was good to have someone take an interest in you a bit further and push you a little bit further and make you step up a bit, I suppose. So that was, I suppose, till about, early 20s, that leads up till played football till then, started out of school. Actually, I ended up taking a year off, took a gap year because I didn't get into the real estate course that I wanted to get into. So I took a gap year, thought I'd try and figure stuff out that way. And from there, that turned into just doing some part-time real estate work. And then I started doing a Bachelor of Business or Commercial or something like that. But that really, after a year off, it really didn't light my fire, I suppose. I was still working in the industry, had a bit of fun doing that, but then it was kind of got to that point in my life where it was like, do I keep going here or do I? It was one of those, I suppose this is one of those times in your life where you kind of realised you weren't super happy doing that job. So ended up quitting that job, going and working down at a pub over summer near the beach with a bunch of mates, which was great. It was one of those, not a rite of passage, but one of those type of summer experiences that are invaluable now looking back on. Great fun and great memories and all that kind of thing. After that, I kind of had to come back to Melbourne and get serious again and get a real job. So I went back into commercial real estate. And at the time I was still playing football, working full time, doing commercial real estate, trying to keep up a pretty hectic and fun social life on the weekends. Kept that going for a good, I think, 4 years. I was never really in my passion doing that job. And then eventually I think it all caught up with me and I was at a stage again after, I suppose, those 4 years, which was similar to that first kind of stage where it's questioning, what do I really want to do? And when in that process, my body just it was giving me clues, I think, that I wasn't happy what I was doing. I wasn't really in line with what I liked doing. And that was when I first got sick with chronic fatigue syndrome. So I was pondering these thoughts in my head, where do I go next? Literally woke up one morning and felt flat, just didn't feel like walking, didn't feel like doing much at all, really. And it was like night and day from, literally the week before I was fine, and then woke up one day and I was like, something's not quite right here. And as you do at that stage, I thought, maybe it was just a couple of big weekends that you hadn't recovered from type of thing. But after a couple of weeks, I'm like, no, I better see the doctor. And that probably led me into about 6 months of doctor's checks. None of them had any clue at all what was wrong with me. A lot of them did a lot of blood tests. Everything came back relatively normal, or within their normal limits. Eventually, after about 6 months, I finally got referred to another physician who had more experience with chronic fatigue syndrome, and he pretty much diagnosed me straight away. It was pretty black and white to him. so getting that diagnosis was great, but then at the same time, when you get diagnosed with chronic fatigue, they also tell you there's nothing they can really do. So I suppose that kind of led me down a path where you start looking for answers yourself. And I suppose that kind of really put me where I am today, because it started getting me more interested in nutrition, other alternative type health things, because obviously the traditional medical system couldn't really help you. And that was it was a tough time. I think I was still trying to work at the time. Took off, I think, a full month during that 6 months just to try and, I don't know, reboot the system. Looking back now, I was just chronically overstressed, probably overtraining, under eating probably as well, trying to recover from sports, but under eating probably, and then also just not happy in the job I was doing, not feeling fulfilled, I suppose. And so that was when was that? 2010, I think I was diagnosed with that, and that started off. I went to a lot of naturopaths, Chinese medicine, tried different physios, and along the way made gradual improvements, and I was able to return to doing some part-time work, still as a commercial real estate. I was doing the same at the same company. They were very, very supportive and understanding, which was great. But eventually just made very, very slow progress. The one thing I did find during that time, I was able to go and do not do a lot of gym, but I was able to go and do gym, like weights, and not be too fatigued, where I was finding if I was trying to do runs and that kind of exercise, that was kind of making things worse. So obviously, in that time I stopped playing football, and then started getting a bit more interested in doing weights. Started off literally, I was doing, I think, 1 day a week. I'd go in, just do a bit, and then it would probably take me a week to kind of recover and feel up to it again. Then gradually increased that over the following years. And then gradually kind of increased my work up a bit as well. Ended up, I think, getting to about 3 days a week of work. But still I would burn out. I would get a bit of energy for a couple of days, use it all up, and then crash again. So it was just a never-ending cycle of kind of, going up and down, gradually getting better, but not really ever addressing, I think, the actual cause or the actual why, I suppose. And then it was in 2013, we had our first child with my partner, Ruby. So Chloe came into the world, and she changed our life, I suppose. I remember when she was born, I cried like a baby. I'd never felt anything like that. That was very unexpected. I suppose I've always been, I don't know, kind of composed, calm person. So it's crazy when literally, the second she was born, and I was weeping in a nice way, in a good way, I suppose. But I suppose probably never felt my heart crack open like that, like in an instant. That was one of those life-changing moments that you never forget. So that was I suppose, another stage of life where he stepped into being a dad, as well as dealing with health issues and family stuff as well. Was able to look after her well. She's grown up to be a beautiful, strong, resilient girl. It makes me, very proud to see how well she handles herself, and how how composed she is a lot of the time as well. It's really a credit to her, actually. She's beautiful. But I suppose but she was born, still kind of carried on doing the same thing. So I was still just limited in work, still trying to find my own answers to the chronic fatigue syndrome. Ended up seeing, more doctors, different specialists. None of them ever had any real impact. I suppose some of the time through that process, you get a little bit of hope, and I think sometimes you almost get a little bit of a lift from having that hope. So that gets you through, but might only last a few months. And then in the end, it came around about 2017. My partner Ruby, my fiancée Ruby, she was pregnant with our second child, and he was born on late February 2017. I was feeling pretty good then, still far from 100%. He was born, that was amazing. Again, that experience of, having a child, and that another, heart-opening experience. And then that kind of led into the next chapter of my life, I suppose, because it was 2 days after he was born, I actually felt a lump on my left testicle. Just felt a bit of discomfort, and I thought, oh no, do the usual guy thing and say, no, there was nothing really there. I think I gave it a day, and then I'm like, had another kind of feel, oh, no, something's not quite right here. Took myself to the GP. He kind of gave, interestingly enough, he gave me a bit of a half-assed feel, said he couldn't feel anything, and I'm like, are you serious? I've got this big fucking lump sticking out side of my nut. But I kind of pushed it with him, and then he sent me for ultrasound, and as soon as the ultrasound lady technician put the wand down there, she just went, oh, and I was like, what does that mean? And she's like, oh, she kept doing the scan. She goes, I think you better go back and see your doctor. So she goes, are you seeing him today? I said, oh, not that I was aware of. She goes, I think you better go see him today. So she knew pretty much straight away, and I suppose I knew then that something was not quite right. When I saw the doctor that day, he said, yep, you've got a big tumour. Referred me to a urologist. He said, yep, definitely it's cancer. You've got whatever type of tumour they thought it might have been, and got booked in for surgery. Went through the surgery, which was, I suppose, a bit more painful than I thought, because when they actually do remove a testicle, they don't actually take it from down there. They actually split you down the side of your abdomen, go through your abdominal wall, and pull it up and out through there. And since the surgeon actually said to me, he goes, since you actually are so well conditioned and had so much muscle there, we actually had to cut through your muscles, because he said a lot of people, they can just separate them out of the way. But he goes, no, we had to actually cut through your abdominal muscles. So yeah, went through the surgery, took probably a month to recover from that. Really, it was quite painful. I was surprised. It was, yeah, I was like literally, I was scared to fart, to be honest. Like it was like that painful, and that, yeah, you just thought you were going to rip yourself open or something. It was weird. But they did tests on the tumour, and they thought, great, we've got it. It looks like it's contained in the just in the testicle, which was great. They said, I'll check back in another month or two, do some more blood tests and stuff. And so I thought, yeah, great, we'll move on. That's done. Probably about a month after the surgery, I actually got sent I think it was a newspaper article from my dad, I think, and it was talking about a course called the lightning process, and it specifically related to chronic fatigue, chronic pain, and all those type of things, which I don't know, for some reason it resonated with me. I ended up applying to do that course. Spoke to the guy Ian who runs it. Booked myself in, and in 3 days I made more progress in my chronic fatigue battle than I had in 7 years. The course literally showed you that I was like living in a chronically stressed state. So I was always in like that fight or flight, kind of, yeah, fight or flight mindset and feeling in life. And so your body just literally doesn't have a chance to heal herself or recover. So in that course, they actually teach you how to identify what your emergency kind of response things are. So like, you know, I used to chronically, like during that time, like I would chronically get stressed and like sweat. Like if I was doing this type of interview or something, like I would be dripping in sweat. And yeah, different emergency kind of states that your body gets into. So a lot of the course is actually identifying what those triggers are, and then they actually show you some physical and mental ways to get you out of that state of being. So for the first time in kind of 7 years, I had had relief from chronic fatigue. It was I think I did it on the course on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The Saturday night I went out and had a great steak dinner with a mate, and I'm like, something's different. Like I feel like the fog had been pulled away. I felt like I was, back to feeling, pretty much normal. And that carried on for about a month. And then went back to my urologist, did some more blood tests to follow up from the surgery, and I was expecting it to be all clear, but it wasn't. He said, you've got this tumour marker here that's rising. And I thought, oh, all right. And so he quickly referred me to an oncologist. They did another few weeks of blood tests, said this tumour marker is still rising, which means it's the cancer has spread somewhere. They didn't know where. It wasn't. We did scans of my brain. It wasn't in my brain. It wasn't in my lungs or anywhere. They eventually narrowed it down to being had spread to my lymph nodes in my abdomen, and literally, I think the doctor told me on the Friday, he said, we've got an appointment on Monday where we'll need to discuss doing chemotherapy. So that was pretty shocking, really, because I thought we had got it all and we were all going to be good. And then, a week after that, started chemotherapy, which was 3 rounds of BEP or whatever they call it. So it was literally you go in for 5 days straight. You sit there on a drip for 6 hours, giving you the chemotherapy drugs. You put on about 5 kilos in water weight in a week. But surprisingly, I didn't feel too bad. I was actually, I suppose, when people think about chemotherapy, everyone straight away you get the vision of people being bald and curled up over a toilet or throwing up or something like that. So I suppose I had those concerns, but luckily for me, and I think it helped that I was very physically fit as well. I handled it very well, better than I thought I would. Learned some good lessons during it, even just little things that I think back now, like setting little short-term goals. I know during my chemotherapy, one of my friends was getting married. They were getting married on the Sunday, and I was due to have treatment for the whole week leading up to that. All the nurses and I suppose some of my family were saying, you probably don't have to go to the wedding. You might not be up to it. But I kind of set myself that goal. And by the end of the week, got through the treatment. Saturday came around, went to the ceremony all day, ended up going to the party, the reception afterwards. And honestly, it was one of the most proud feelings that I had in a very, very long time, even though it wasn't a crazy thing, but I suppose it just showed you how you can, set little goals to achieve. And when you actually do it, you can actually, I suppose maybe I'll let myself actually give myself a pat on the back and say, well done, you did it. Whereas I think a lot of the time, and even now, you don't always give yourself credit for doing things or for setting goals and for actually ticking them off. Sometimes you kind of just tick them off without realizing or letting yourself be proud or letting yourself be happy. So that was a good lesson to learn during that time. The chemotherapy was very successful. Did 9 weeks, very intensive chemotherapy. All my hair fell out within, I think it was about 17 days into it. I could literally just grab chunks and pull it out. So I decided then just to shave it, just to avoid the mess, I think, because I knew that it was, I knew that it was coming out. So I was, get on top of that. But even that, it was crazy how much you look at yourself and that's when you don't recognize yourself. It's like a crazy feeling when you look at yourself in the mirror like that and you're like, I don't even recognize the person staring back at you. Even though it's only hair, but it's, I suppose it's, the first time it had really, really occurred to me. But did my 9 weeks of chemotherapy, got all clear. Coming up in 3 weeks, will be 4 years since diagnosis, and that's when they do your dates from or something. So 4 years will be in end of March, and just been ticking off every test and ever since, really. Been undetectable, and but I suppose going through that led me even more into looking at more holistic health, ways of thinking, and even through chemotherapy experience using some of the techniques that I learned, like in the lightning process course. Started, I suppose, doing a lot of mindset, personal development, more journaling, and I suppose the last 3 years since about 3 years, I suppose it's been a bit more full on, just leaning into that more healthy lifestyle, I suppose, and then trying to share what I've learned along the way, what I'm still learning, to be honest. I'm learning every day about health things, and I think even stuff that I suppose would have been, to me, 15 years ago, would have been pretty woo-woo and pretty out there, like even meditation. Like, I was not into doing meditation. Now I definitely don't miss a day of doing meditation. I'm a big fan, and a lot of the time that's one of the first things I'll ask, someone, do they meditate? Do they have any kind of mindful practice? And a lot of the time they don't. And it has even stuff like that. It doesn't seem that crazy now, or not crazy, but woo-woo type stuff. But I think even now, I think a lot more people are becoming more open to it. And even at the gym, people ask me about health things or something, and they'll want to know, what protein you're having or something, whereas I'll probably more happily point them in the direction of actually recovering better through, actually maybe getting a little bit less stress in your life, or meditation. Or I find all those little things for me, like meditation, grounding on the earth, like bare feet on the earth, getting some actual sunlight, drinking super high quality water. What else? And then just obviously having a sound nutritional practice. I think those things are probably more important than all the gimmicks and that kind of thing. So I suppose that's kind of led me, to where I am today, with a really strong interest in holistic health as a whole. I see the body as, obviously there's the body, but there's, the different parts of it. You got to actually be healthy in all kind of parts for it to function at its best. And I'm still very much a work in progress. It's definitely not something you just kind of achieve, but it's just the little things that add up over time that I think actually make the difference. So it's the daily things, the things you can actually do consistently, that actually make the biggest difference overall. Not sure. Looking back, I suppose these are all things that would have been very helpful for me to know 15 years ago. But I think, looking at it that way, I think you have to go through all these things, and it's all part of the journey to become where you are now. I don't think you can't just get that wisdom up front. You actually have to go through some things and find things out for yourself. Find mentors along the way, or people that you trust, people that you can listen to, people who have done things well, listen to them. And that's probably, got me where I am now.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. All that stuff happened to you for a reason, so then you can become the person you are today, as you just said. Are you doing personal training? Like, do you train clients different exercises and also work on the mind? What are you actually doing?
So currently I'm just doing like just health coaching, and so more holistic health coaching. I have started studying to be a personal trainer. I haven't actually got my certification in that yet. I'm currently doing that. And I think part of my journey has kind of led me to do that. And I feel good when I'm helping people. But again, I'm also at that, the kids are back at school now, they're back at kinder and school full time. So I'm kind of in that funny, one of those turning points in life again, where you can go kind of either way. Like, do I go for that really full heart aligned life of health and coaching and that kind of thing, or do I kind of go back to a bit of corporate and get some security? And so it's an interesting time for this interview that I'm kind of in that spot again. But it's exciting. It's a crazy time to be alive at the moment with the world how it is. I see a huge need for leadership, and also an awareness of actual health. I think people in general don't understand what being fully healthy is. I think the way the system's set up, a lot of the time doctors are put on such a pedestal, I suppose, and especially the older generation just look up to them with, everything they say is 100%. But I suppose going along the route I went, you come to realise that a lot of the doctors do want to help you, but they're kind of limited in what they can do. A lot of them really do want to help, but they are limited in terms of what they can do and what they can recommend as well. So I do see there is a need for a more holistic view of health in general, but that also includes mental health as well, because I found even the last year, talking to a lot of men especially, like it's been tough. A lot of people have been struggling, and I suppose men in general aren't as good as expressing that challenge. I'm sure you'd agree that, yeah. So I think, definitely there is needs in the market for men's help in terms of mental health and fitness health. For me, it's all one thing. It's not just, having a good body. It's actually having a good insides. Like just because you got some muscles doesn't mean your gut's happy, your mind's happy. Like there's a whole holistic thing that needs to be looked at, I think.
100%. Hey, we've hit our 40-minute mark. Where can people find you online?
Best place to find me is on Instagram, probably DB FitDad. Just reach out to me on there. I'm happy to chat and happy to discuss topics.
Good stuff. Any words of wisdom before we part? Any leaving note you want to leave to everyone?
I think just anyone who's actually interested in health in general just needs to look at what they're doing, and actually, I suppose, is what they're doing intentional. Like, because a lot of the time you get stuck doing what someone else is doing, even though you don't know why. So I suppose one of my things is I try to have intention behind what I'm doing. So, what goes into my body, what training I'm doing, what recovery I'm doing, what I'm doing to try and make myself happy, and just try and live with, have an intention in doing what you're actually doing.
I reckon there's some pretty good words, because I'll find myself doing the same thing, do the same thing day in, day out. Before you know it, 10 years have passed and you've been doing the same thing day in, day out, haven't actually been intentional, like, yeah, what you're doing. Totally agree with that. All right. Well, yeah, that's our time. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Dale. Did you have fun?
I did. That was a great experience. I appreciate you having me on and sharing your time as well.
No, it's definitely good. All right, better do the little outro. Well, yeah, that's a wrap. I'd like to thank Dale again for coming on the show, and I'd like to thank you, the listener, for listening. Please tell a friend about the podcast and have a fantastic day. All right, bye.